Okay, guys. One of the assignments this week is we're going to continue with graphing and doing our trout graphs. I did go in and measure and weigh the fish on the 10th. So we're going to create new graphs. I know you don't have your science notebooks, but we're going to, all you need is two pieces of paper, and you need to hang on to those and keep up with them. And each week we'll add to that graph until we finally let the fish go. But wanted to remind you how to set up your graph. Again, you're going to have two pages. One will be your length page. The front of that page will be your actual graph with your results. And the back page, the back of that will be the trout data proof sheet for your length. That's where you'll list the lengths and do your math to find the average. The next page is going to be your weight page. That's where you'll have your weight graph with your results and the dates, and then you'll have the back of that will be the trout data proof sheet for the weight, where you'll show your work there. Now, the first, and I will send you pictures of these so you'll have the measurements. You need to do the graphing and do the math, and then we'll check over it later on at the end of the week. So the results here, remember you have your y-axis and your x-axis. X always comes first. That's your date down here. Then you have in tenths of an inch. So it's length in tenth of an inch. And we had to make, so you might want to make your graph a little bit bigger and go up to, maybe try to use most of the page, enough to leave some results down here. Maybe leave, 5 or 6 lines at the bottom. But go ahead and make your graph pretty big, especially, going up, maybe all the way up to 10 inches or so. Each big line being a whole inch. Now, in the back, if you remember, you list this is where we will list. You have, these are the measurements. I weighed and measured 3 trout on the 10th. Trout 1 was 7.1 inches, trout 2 was 7.3, and trout 3 was 7 inches. If you remember, you add those up, line the decimals up, the decimal comes straight down. You add those up, then whatever you get when you add those up, you divide that by the number of fish that were measured. So in this case, you will add all these numbers, and then you will divide that by 3, and that will give you your average length. And your average length you will need to put on your results on the front of the page, 4, 10, 20, and you'll put your results. You will put your date here, and then you'll draw your graph up to wherever your average was and shade it in. Same thing for weight. You'll have 3 measurements. You'll have you'll have an x-axis and a y-axis. You may not need to go as high on the weight graph, but try to make them about the same. Remember, it's in ounces, but it's in tenths of an ounce. You have your results down at the bottom with the dates, and then on the back you have your proof sheet. And if you see on the 10th, again, 3 trout were weighed, the same 3 trout. Each one was weighed, had 3 ounces, 3.4 ounces, and 3.2 ounces. Okay. Now you may have, if you have your science notebook, you may have some different dates, but we'll just start clean unless you want to just add these to yours. If you have yours, that's fine. You can add to it. And just come off the last date. I think some of you measured on the 12th. It looks like as what I have in my notebook. So you can use these dates if you don't have your notebook and need to create a new graph. So again, the weights, you'll add those weights up, line your decimals up, add all the weights, divide the total weight by 3 because there were 3 fish weighed, and that will give you your average. Okay.